So, Juliana, how have you
Ah,
been?
I've been great, thank you.
So, Juliana, maybe for a start, could you just tell us who you are?
First of all, thank you for joining. Much appreciated, everyone. My name is Juliana Mwangi, and what I do on a day-to-day basis is I help businesses develop and implement growth opportunities, both within an organization as well as between organizations. And currently, I'm the business development lead at Bitzlato Africa.
Right, that's great to know. So, your background ideally is in which particular sector or in which
Uh, my,
industry?
my, my background is in finance, largely finance and accounting. So I didn't know about blockchain or I didn't even know that I'd one day end up in the tech space because I've studied mainly finance and accounting. Yeah, so that's what my background has been all about. I've worked
Finance
in
and
different, yeah. I've worked mainly in the better part of my career. I worked in the finance space. I've worked with notable organizations such as the USAID, Procter and Gamble. Yeah, and for a long time, I thought that would be all to do in my career.
I think that makes the two of us have also just studied finance. So
Ah,
interesting that we ended up in the same industry.
mm.
That's nice to know. So how did you get to know about crypto and blockchain, and which year was it, and what was your very first experience?
Okay, so that was about around 2016. I was still employed as the finance. I was a finance and profit forecaster, and I love business. I love making extra money. And at that time, I was in the transport business as a side hustle. But then a friend of mine told me, "Hey, there's this new business where people are selling bitcoins." I didn't even know what Bitcoin was. So I prompted them more to learn what Bitcoin was. And interestingly, they also didn't know what Bitcoin was. They told me it's like gold, which is sold online. So I said, okay, let's sell this gold if it's going to make us some good money. But still, I wasn't very sold out to it. So, but after some time, I met a friend and they showed me how they were making money, and I was interested. So when I started at around 2016, I started as a peer-to-peer trader. We'd basically buy Bitcoin from BitPesa, which is now rebranded to Aza Finance, and we'd sell them on platforms such as local Bitcoins. At that time, we didn't have many P2P platforms in the country. So we could only find local Bitcoins or Remitano. The traders were also not so many, meaning that the margins were also quite big. I think the minimum profit you'd make on a sale is like 10%. So I'd, uh, I'd buy and sell from BitPesa all day, and really that's how I started being a P2P trader.
2016 seems to be a very early, sort of like early days of crypto, because
Yeah.
for me, I joined in 2017. That was my very first encounter with Bitcoin. And funny thing, uh, and this is actually going to lead me to the next question. Uh, the first time I even Googled it after I had heard about it, when you Google it and then you even search for images, you'll just see a photo of a coin with the logo of Bitcoin. So it was very confusing to me because I thought it was something physical like that. Um, and it took me quite a while to just understand what Bitcoin is. So even before you got into trading, what was like your perception of Bitcoin the very first time you exposed to it, understanding it? Because even to date, even if there's someone who is on the audience today and they're just hearing about Bitcoin, they still don't know what it is. Was it very easy for you to grasp the concept of Bitcoin, or did you just divert directly into trading, just understand a particular paradigm of the ecosystem?
I'd say for me, even when I started buying and selling, I really didn't understand what Bitcoin was. What I understood was, hey, I could buy at X amount, and when I'm selling, I have 10% profit, and I could repeat that like all day and make money. It was still a vague concept to me. And what prompted me to want to learn more about Bitcoin is, as I was trading, my client base was increasing. I got so many clients, and all these clients, they are looking at you as the source of information. They want to meet you. They want to learn more about Bitcoin. And I realized I don't even know what Bitcoin was. So, when I started meeting people, I started reading. I started getting fascinated at the technology behind Bitcoin, and that's that. I saw it was a game changer. The fact that, like, we know Bitcoin is decentralized, it's not controlled by anyone, by any government. I can be able to, because some of my clients, one of them would like tell me they're importing maybe a car from Japan, and they don't want to follow the bank process, so they just send Bitcoin to the seller. So I could be able to see it in its intrinsic value, and it really intrigued me. And I was so much interested about all this, and I think that's why I've even been able to come this far, because of knowledge, education. We have all this knowledge all over the internet. We have books written about it. So yeah, I think at this particular time, it's good to always invest in knowledge as well.
Great. So
Yeah, and yeah, at 2016, maybe another thing I can remember. At that time, I remember when I was buying my first Bitcoin, it was around 200,000 shillings, and I thought it was a lot of money compared to if I could talk to my friends and they tell me they bought Bitcoin for only 30,000 Kenya shillings. That's like 300 USD. I was like, maybe I'm too late for it, but I still think we are very early in matters of adoption. Even now that Bitcoin is around $53,000, it's still early to get into the space.
yeah, so matters trading, I think trading Bitcoin in 2016 and trading Bitcoin in 2021 are completely different. Uh, Personally, for example, I only started to trade much uh, recently, I think maybe 2018, 2019. But then for you being exposed to trading, Bitcoin trading in 2016, what are some of the key lessons you probably carried from there, which you probably are still using to date to guide your trading strategy?
One of the key lessons, the one that I've mentioned first of all, is education. You need to educate yourself. I started as a P2P trader, and I mentioned the margins were good, but you find like in the year 2017, when there was that Bitcoin crash, and the margins were not as good. And actually, Bitcoin was just falling in price. So I also had to learn more. I needed to learn about spot trading. I needed to invest in education and learn about technical analysis, fundamental analysis. At that time, we trade on exchanges such as KuBitX. So continually educating yourself enables you that you stay on top of the game. Right now, everybody is talking about DeFi, everybody is talking about NFTs. So you need to constantly educate yourself. And the other key lesson is, I'd say your integrity is everything. Because from 2016 to 2021, we still have more or less the same people in the space. Yes, we have new entries, but your integrity will go a long way. It's still such a small space. So, and you'd find someone like telling you, hey, I need Bitcoin for X amount of shillings, and maybe there's no even escrow, so they'll send that money directly to your account, and you'll be able to source the Bitcoin for them. So you find that if you have good integrity, if you have good reputation, it doesn't matter whether you have capital or not, just your goodwill can enable you to make money and to get a job.
Thank you. I mean, that's a very strong point on education, because I think I remember, no, not really. When you talk about education, at the moment, there's a lot of information in the crypto space for you to just learn even about the basics of blockchain and crypto, even if it's trading and whatnot, the opportunities and whatnot. I assume in 2016 it was a bit harsh because the information that we are able to consume today to learn about crypto have even been simplified. There's like tons of channels even on YouTube that break down these concepts in a way that it's very easy for everyone to understand. So I think it's key. We've pretty much evolved. I think you have it easier now for anyone who's starting actually in crypto. You have it much easier now. Information has been made very easily accessible, and it's a lot of it. Juliana, you can attest that when you're starting, you couldn't even find sufficient number of blogs to give you the right information.
I actually remember one time when I wanted to set up my first MetaMask wallet. I really called my friends. Nobody had any idea how to do it. I had to make a trip, I think, to Westland so that I could be shown how to set up a MetaMask wallet. And so information was not easily available. It was still vague. But now I think even Frank, you conduct daily classes.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I'm able to conduct these daily classes because I can also find resources very easily. And for me to even digest, considering I'm a non-technical, my background is non-technical, it's easier for me to digest the information so that when I'm sharing it with other people, I can also just be able to break it down in a similar fashion. So you started off with trading. What did you transition to afterwards?
Trading was mainly what I did. And like I earlier mentioned, I learned about Bitcoin, I learned about blockchain, and the technology behind it. And one important thing also that maybe I've forgotten to mention is to network and to put yourself out there. And so I was networking a lot. And I remember when the World Blockchain Summit was hosting its very first event in Africa. And
When was that?
I think 2017, that
Okay.
was the very first event they had in Africa. And it happened to be in Nairobi. I was invited as one of the speakers. And I think from that platform, that's when I connected with like-minded individuals. And they wanted to set up an exchange, which would an exchange where people will trade cryptocurrencies. And I was part of the founding team, that is KuBitX exchange. And that's how I transitioned from a P2P trader, and full-time I started working on building that exchange. And I joined as the chief financial officer for the project. So that was how my transition was like. Yeah, so at that time, I didn't really have much time for trading. I was more focused on building the product.
Yeah, that's great. 2017, like I said, is also the year I got into crypto. I remember we held an event. I was actually working with a couple of friends on a startup, and we held an event, a blockchain event, where we were just going to teach people about blockchain and its applications in business. And I remember that time I was emceeing the full day event. I didn't even have any Bitcoin at all. I didn't have a wallet. All I had was just bits and pieces of information about how blockchain works and whatnot to just enable me maneuver through the program. So yeah, it's been a long time coming. I also remember during 2017 there was a lot of talk of we need to build, we need to focus more on building as opposed to just trading and looking at the price of Bitcoin. So how was the building experience at KuBitX?
The building experience at KuBitX, I believe, like I mentioned, it was a startup. We really didn't have any experience. None of us had built a project on the blockchain space before. And so we were really working from ground up, learning along the way. And one had to wear many hats. I couldn't just be, my background is in finance, so I'll only take care of the company's finances. I need to be involved in testing the product, like setting up the company in Kenya. I had to be involved in with so many responsibilities, which were not my key strong areas. And so with that also at KuBitX, and I'm sure many people who have been in a startup can attest to this, you also need to develop self-learning skills. Maybe if I could give an example, maybe you have an event, you don't have the luxury of maybe calling an event manager to organize the event or to design some stuff. So you like really need to put it upon yourself and to learn new things every day. You also need to be adaptable. And I think these were very good and key experiences that I learned from KuBitX. And the one of wearing many hats really stood out for me, because I realized I not only have strength in finance, I have strength in other areas which have even culminated to bringing me to where I am and to this point.
Right. So I'm thinking KuBitX, being a cryptocurrency exchange from Africa, was, one of the very fast exchanges that we'd see coming, which are like sort of homegrown from the continent, right? And considering that crypto didn't start, or the origin wasn't in Africa, a lot of the activities that was happening even before 2017 were happening from outside the continent, in Europe, Hong Kong, and whatnot, the US. How easy was it for people to trust a product that was built by fellow Africans, and the adoption of the product? If you're to build a community, get people to come to events and whatnot, how easy was it to convince your fellow Africans to just support this homegrown project?
Actually, I'd say when it comes to cryptocurrency adoption, Africa is one of the leading continents. We have a vibrant population. We have the average age of an African being 19 years. So, so when it comes to matters of adoption, we have quite a sizable number of people who know what cryptocurrency is. The only thing that I think the youth and the Africans need to embrace is that we also need to learn how to embrace our products better. Yes, we got a lot of support in Kenya and other African countries when I was at KuBitX Exchange, but I'd like to see more companies coming up in Kenya and in other African countries. And it would be very fulfilling to see other Africans rooting for those companies, because it will go a long way in creating employment. We have a lot of talented young people, we have developers, we have coders. So we have all this talent lying here. And I believe that it can be utilized more and better if we have more such projects and more homegrown projects, basically.
Yeah, I mean, 2017 was a really exciting year for crypto. If you can remember the ICO boom and the bull run.
It was crazy.
Did you participate in any ICOs in 2017? Did you make a ton of money?
Yeah, I actually didn't make a ton on money when it came to ICOs. Maybe I knew we had ICOs. I knew people were making a lot of money, but I didn't plug so much into it. I made money from the bull run. And I thought trading was good enough for me. But looking at it, it's good to diversify your portfolio. You can have a bit of your portfolio in ICOs, in trading, and in other assets as well. Yeah, but I know a couple of friends of mine who made a lot of money from it. Crazy returns.
Okay, you might know people who made a lot of money. Do you also know people who also lost a lot of money?
Yeah.
The ones who lost didn't. I've not been telling you about their losses.
Yeah, some have lost a lot of money as well, because like I said, like before you join a project or you join an ICU, you needed to do some analysis about the project. Does it have what's its use case? What's the team behind the project? Because anyone can come up with a cryptocurrency, and some are even scammers. So if you invest in the wrong ICO or in the wrong project, you end up losing money. So some people did lose, but when if you like had a balanced portfolio, you've invested in asset A, B, C, D, it will end up balancing at the end of the day. And especially if you dig out for information and invest in the right projects.
Yeah, I mean, scammers and frauds. It's still very rife in crypto. So, what would you advise people to look out for to ensure that they don't fall for scams? Because even to date, we still have a lot of projects coming up with funny names, with just I can say phone coin or something, and then I try to cheat people into believing that this is something like Bitcoin, which has value and whatnot. So, what are some of the things that you'd advise people to look out for in order to avoid getting scammed?
First of all, I'd like to, like that phone coin, I'd like to read the white paper and see what is the use case of that phone coin that you have. Is it something that is going to solve problems? And if it's going to solve problems, then it does has value. And then I'd be able to look at the team behind phone coin. Yeah, maybe the team is Frank. What's Frank's background? Is it somebody that they can be trusted? Also, we have like the ICO bench, where they are able to rate projects from a scale of 1 to 5. So they are experts who look at a project and they are able to rate it. So if PhoneCoin has a good rating on ICO bench, then I'd be more convinced or more geared towards investing on such a project.
Yeah, of course, there's quite a lot to look out for. And of course, I think, Juliana, one of the things that we were able to find out during that time is, if a deal sounds to be too good, you have to really consider. Because if someone is telling you, give me your money, I'm going to invest it for you, and then I give you double, triple, 10x returns after so many days, you should wonder, where are they getting this extra cash from, right? I mean, it should be, that actually should be a very strong guiding point for anyone who's trying to get into crypto. Be very cautious of people who promise guaranteed returns, because that's not just how money works. Money doesn't grow on trees, even in crypto.
Yeah. Plus, such a model isn't sustainable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
At some point, there's going to be someone who's going to take the big loss at the end. So after KuBitX, what did you do?
After KuBitX, like I had mentioned previously, I did realize I have skills in other areas. Like, yes, I did join as a CFO, but I had other roles that I performed, like launching the project in Kenya, building the team in Kenya, enabling partnerships between different organizations. And although I was doing it at that time, it didn't even cross my mind that what I'm doing is business development. So I did a lot of business development when I was at KuBitX, and when the time was ripe, I did now make that transition officially from finance to business development. And I did join Paxful as a business development associate, where I worked and continued to further my skills.
That's great. Paxful apparently right now is the largest Bitcoin P2P marketplace in Kenya, sorry, in Africa. So they were something interesting about them, which I think I read some time back. They're able to dislodge local Bitcoins, which has been the market leader since the beginning of time. So Paxful seems to have a very sort of organized structure or some sort of I'd say it's a big environment, right?
Yeah.
How did you find yourself fitting into it and just going about growing the exchange to what it got to be?
Okay. When I joined Paxful from KuBitX, it was different. Paxful, KuBitX being a startup and Paxful being more established. By more established, it means we have structures, we have different departments, and everyone doesn't have to do everything. So I think that was very good, because one can be able to concentrate on their core roles and responsibilities. And at Paxful, like you mentioned, they were able to beat and take out or be the market leader compared to local Bitcoins. You find that they are able to connect with users and learn their needs. You'll find Paxful has a Telegram community, which is purely Kenyan, something that local Bitcoin does not offer. So I think that's also very good and key. And also Paxful was great because you get to work with an international team, international environment. So yeah, it was really great.
Yeah, I mean, I can kind of relate to working with a big brand that is distributed all over the world, because at some point I was also your main competitor at Binance. Yeah, so as
Yeah.
the community manager at Binance for some time, and I know it can be very hard fitting into these large organizations because the entire team is distributed. You have to try to find ways of interacting with someone who's in Hong Kong, in China, in Nigeria, and there's different time zones, and it's a large organization, so it's organized, and there's so much you have to consider and whatnot. So it could be pretty complex for someone who's coming in from a startup environment like yourself. How are you able to cope with that sort of demanding pressure to be part of that large ecosystem? Is there particular sort of techniques or skills or advice you'd have for someone who would want to even just join these large organizations to
Um,
help them?
I believe, though KuBitX was a startup, it wasn't hard transitioning. Case and point being, in my previous, before I joined the blockchain space, I had worked with big international organizations such as Procter and Gamble, where also we could interact with people all over the world. But if anyone is coming into that space, I'd say you need to be adaptable. You need to be adaptable with working with everyone. You understand people are from different cultures. You are able to sort of blend in with them. That's also very important. Another aspect of being adaptable is time zones. Let's say I'm in Africa, I'm in Nairobi, and I'm working with someone in New York. We have those time zones differences. You also have to be considerate when it comes to that, and be flexible enough with their working hours. But it's not such a big problem, especially because in most blockchain organization, people work remotely. So you can be able to have flexi hours.
Yeah, I think that's actually something I really appreciate about remote work as it is right now. Despite the ravaging effects of COVID, I think one of the things that I'd say, like some sort of a silver lining, so to speak, is enabling people to just work remote. And I think this is very, very good advice, considering like, people would be sitting here and looking at these big brands and wondering, how does it work over there inside there? How is it like when you're a member of, or part of the team at Paxful or Binance and whatnot? Yeah, so it's a pretty interesting environment, and considering that now we are transitioning into remote work, and there are all these opportunities coming up, it would be great for people to just keep exploring and take advantage of
Yeah.
them. Yeah.
Actually, I'd like to mention, when you want to, maybe if you've not ventured into the blockchain and the crypto space, first of all, it offers many advantages. Like you can be able to work remotely. For myself, I find this very useful because I am a working mom, and when I'm able to, when I work remotely, it means I can be able to better maybe take care of my baby. I'm in touch with what is happening, so I don't have to beat traffic every day, and it's really convenient. And I only really like have to go out when I have meetings or I need to like work in a co-working space where I don't want distractions maybe during that particular day.
Yeah, that's great. And I think another thing that I personally experienced when I was working, or when I was just transitioning through these different companies in this space, is like a lot of these roles that we see now never existed even 2 years ago, right? The role of community manager, or the role of, I mean, there's just so much that has come up afresh. And some of the interactions that I've had, because most of these international companies have always been just trying to get into the African continent, and they're looking for skills and talent. In most cases, I've always just ended up defining what I want to do. So there are no, I'd say there are no sort of defined roles. It's all about what value can you bring to the table, however small it is. Considering that, Juliana, what you're saying, the flexibility. Um, there's also flexibility in roles. So it's not like a fixed position that you're just supposed to accept. You can approach an organization and tell them, I want to simply do 1, 2, 3 things, just that. That's and you see, since you're not working from 8 to 5, you will just make sure that you deliver on what is expected of you, of what you've told them that you'll deliver on. And I feel like blockchain and crypto is still going to open up a lot of opportunities going into the future. What do you think, Juliana?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. We have lots of skills coming up. You find someone is a Twitter influencer. I think some years back, if you told someone you want to become a Twitter influencer, it's a totally new concept. But
Yeah,
hey, that's where people are, and that's what organizations want. So it really has to do with what can you bring to the table. What skills do you have? You mentioned you are from the finance space as well. I doubt you do any finance right now.
not at all.
Uh,
Not at all. Yeah.
Same. And you find like at my current role at Bitzlato, it was like the recruiting process wasn't so much tell me what you've studied. It was none of that. Is tell me what you can do,
Yeah.
and that doesn't even need a resume. In fact, I can't remember submitting a resume. So you really need to work on yourself. You need to know what skills do I have, what skills are needed for the future, and you keep developing yourself every other day because the world keeps changing, the world keeps adapting, and you need to keep up with it.
Sure, that's very true. So right now you're at Bitzlato,
Yeah.
right? What do you do there, and how is it so far?
It's actually my first month, and still I'm in business development. I'm the business development lead at Bitzlato Africa, and it's been really great so far. I joined Bitzlato because of two major things. I loved their product. You find that Bitzlato came into being in 2016. The major markets were in Ukraine and Russia. And at that time, they just used the bot for trading. The bot is very interactive, which made Bitzlato become a very popular trading platform. Although at around 2018, they did transition into an exchange, but the trading bot still makes it very popular, especially for newbies. As long as you have a Telegram account, you can be able to buy and sell from the platform. Another thing that I loved about the product was no KYC. You find that maybe when you want to trade on a particular platform, you are locked out because maybe you are asked for the proof of address. You are asked for very many things that at that time you are not able to maybe provide them, and so they lock you out. So I saw Bitzlato as a platform that doesn't lock out people, and then it does have a good affiliate program whereby if two people trade and you've recruited that person, you get to earn 40% out of their trading fee. The other thing is that they have gift codes. By gift codes, it means like I from Bitzlato, I can be able to generate a gift code, and with that gift code, I can be able to send Bitcoin to someone else. And here's the catch: for free. I don't have to pay a single cent. And I believe for financial inclusion to be enabled, yes, Bitcoin is good. I can be able to send my Bitcoin from Kenya to Australia or USA, but there's also the factor of cost. So if I'm enabled to send my BTC or transfer value in monetary terms for free, that's a game changer. And that's something that Bitzlato have compared to other platforms. It's a competitive edge. Also, the fees are very low at 0.5% when trading. And we have over around 8 cryptocurrencies on the platform. So I looked at the product. I saw it's good. I looked at the company. It's been in existence since 2016. Major market has not been in Africa, but now we are entering into the African market. And when I look at my skills and my experience so far, I believe I will be able to add great value to Bitzlato, and that's why I decided to join the platform.
All right, great. That's a really interesting journey. So looking into the future, Juliana, what is your ambition? What is your what do you want to see happen in the continent in as far as crypto adoption is concerned, considering the current financial turmoil, the COVID pandemic and all that? What do you think people should look out for, and what would you want to see going into the future?
Going into the future, first of all, as a woman, I want to see more women into the space. We need to get away from this notion that this is a tech space. Maybe, and when most women think about tech, they think about men. This is a male-dominated space. This is not entirely true. You can still be able to contribute into the space. You're not a developer, you're not a coder, you can still be able to make your contribution. And even as a developer or a coder, as a woman, you can be able to still make a positive contribution. And when it comes to crypto adoption, I think the space will really be successful when we are able to simplify it so much for everyone. I remember one time when I was trading and someone sent me money and they needed me to send them Bitcoin. So I thought it was pretty obvious, me asking them, send their address. And they sent me their email address. And so you find that we need to bring it down, bring it to the simplest level possible, where I want to send Bitcoin to someone. They don't have to, well, start conceptualizing and understanding what an address is. It should be like when I'm using M-Pesa, maybe the M-Pesa app, and I want to send money to someone, I just be able to look up their names and say, hey, I want to transfer 100 shillings to Frank, and I'm able to send it. That means that everyone will be able to participate into the ecosystem, and it will enable financial inclusion more. I'd also want to see more regulators coming into the space and working together with the crypto and blockchain companies, especially in Africa, because I believe it's only through this that we are able to win and make strides in the financial space. So if the two parties can come together, and it will really make a great contribution, positive contribution, that is.
All right. When you're beginning the conversation, you said at some point that when you're trading, uh, Bitcoin was what, $300 at some point, right? I'm just check
2000.
$2,000, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was when you were just getting started, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, right this minute, I am looking at the charts. One Bitcoin is $54,800. Would you advise someone who wants to get into Bitcoin and they think that it's too late? What would you want to tell them?
I tell that person that they are not yet late. They are not even close to late. I think in future, very few people will be able to afford one BTC. Even maybe 0.1 BTC will be a problem affording such. So it's better to start accumulating now. Maybe Frank, what's your prediction of Bitcoin in the next 10 years?
Actually, yeah, before I go there, first of all, this is what I think. Of course, for me, I personally think it's not, we haven't even scratched the surface. There's less than 1% of the world population that owns any Bitcoin. So we are still not even exposed to it. In the 10 years that you're talking about, before I give you my prediction, we won't even be talking about Bitcoin. We'll be talking about Satoshis, Sats, because the price of Bitcoin will have shot up too high, and the use cases will have really expanded so much. In the sense that I'll be talking about, can you send me 0.000005 satoshis, and the value of that would be sort of enormous. Beyond that, I think for people who want to get in now and they feel like it's too late and they think the price is too high, you can just start by implementing certain principles such as what we call dollar cost averaging, so DCA. So with the dollar cost averaging, uh, of course, that you don't need to buy an entire Bitcoin to start with. You can even buy Bitcoin worth $5 or $10. So if you're going to do DCA with Bitcoin, you can say maybe every week or every month I'm buying Bitcoin worth $10, and you just maintain that consistency. Over time, you'll realize that your holdings have actually expanded so much in a way that you wouldn't, imagine. If you're going to, and you can't compare this to saving with the USD. So if I am going to save $10 in fiat every month, at the end of the year, I expect to have what, $120, right? But Juliana, you know that if I'm going to save or buy Bitcoin worth $10 every month, at the end of the year, I won't have $120, right? That particular purchase over that time will have probably even 5, 6, 7, 10x. But of course, this is relative. It can even just go down entirely. Bitcoin crypto is a very long-term game, so people have to just look at it that way. I don't have a particular price prediction, Juliana. I don't. have this being taken as financial advice. But what I expect to see, without mentioning any prices, is we expect to see Bitcoin being the standard currency on the internet. So if you know how much time we spend on the internet, on Facebook, on Twitter, on WhatsApp, and on all these websites, so imagine if we could be able to interact with money uh, across all those channels. And now think back and tell me how much of its value it will be over time. So it's crazy. It's enormous. Just get started. It's not late. Even if you're going to start next month or the month after, it's still early. So don't worry about that. On the chat, I saw a lot of questions of people asking how do they get started and what sort of resources they need to get. Bitcoin KE, homegrown, just start there. Follow Bitcoin KE. They constantly update you with all the news that is happening in the space. They do these kinds of session, educational classes as well. So if you can get started there, it would be great. I personally do every single day classes at 9 p.m. East African time to just basically teach people about crypto, blockchain, and everything else that's happening in the ecosystem. So I guess if we don't have anything else to cover for now, and because of time, we can be able to end the class. Thank you very much for your participation, and have a fabulous rest of the weekend. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye.